some nice fiber of any kind. Put your flask in, and you're simply going to lute.
Actually, look over and see him. So get your water above the wool. The wool soak up all that water.
The wool will soak it up. You add more water. The pot is unglazed. Okay? There's a reason for this. The thermometer does not exist in period. So therefore, temperature does not exist in period. Whenever the alchemical texts talk, it says to use a red fire, a white fire, an ash bath. So the brazier gets backfilled with either red hot coals, white hot coals, or ash. But you can see I've burnt in this flask, in this boiling, in this brazier. Braziers crack. The longer you use them, the more they're going to fall apart. Whenever it's finished, throw it away, get a new one. Okay? I personally prefer something that sort of looks period whenever I'm doing my work. It puts me in the mood. I also use a curfew underneath my brazier because I'm working on a plain ordinary table as well, and I don't want my coals to jump out and set my table on fire. I will frequently, because I'm a geek, I'll take a piece of marble and set it underneath my curfew. You can pick up slabs of marble at Lowe's, Home Depot, 84 Lumber. They all have them. Any will work. It doesn't have to be colored. But that's just to keep yourself safe. This is the magical device. This device is what changed science as we know it in the world today. This is an alembic. The alembic was invented by the Persians. It moves to Europe from Arabic. It is unique. It is glass. The period alembics were primarily glass. There are a few that are clay, but the issue is the heat has to get out. The alembic is the first condenser. You want cool air to be able to cool the vapor down so that it will fall into that well and then come out the tube. If you're using a clay alembic, the clay holds too much heat. It won't cool fast enough to get the distillation. You will notice that it moves. In period, there is no ground glass joint. So therefore, you need to lute the seal. And if you're reading the period text, they say lute the seal. And that's all they say. Okay? What I use is potter's clay that I buy at Walmart. It's cheap, it's easy. And I simply put a thin layer of clay between the two pieces of glass and twist. And that forms the seal. It's not a hard seal. It won't explode. You will not build pressure up in the still when you do that. Modern stills have ground glass joints so that there's no vapor loss. So that this is sealed, it still won't build up pressure. Once the distillate starts to form, it needs to be collected, and in period you use a collection vessel. Modern stills use a separatory funnel. This is the same thing. This is the period funnel, but it's called a receiver in the period text. What I do not have with me, because the template has just been finished, this is simply a modern piece of glass. This is a tube. In period, this would have been coiled. The period texts call this a worm, or a snake, or a serpent. So that whenever you see the word snake, that your alchemical material must pass through a snake, this is what they're talking about. The snake loops on and into. And I'm using simple clay, potter's clay, to loop these together. So that I still do not have a hard seal. It's a very soft seal. I've used molding clay in the past, and it melts. It's a gooey mess. You can try it if you want. It won't work. So that my standard recommendation today is simply to use clay. It won't affect your outcome. Any questions about what I've set up? Yes?
I know that in cooking, sometimes you can do flour water pieces. You wouldn't want to do that, would you?
No. I have, before I started using the clay, I took linen, soaked it in egg white, and formed a luting with linen and egg white. The trouble is, it gets really hard and sticks to the glass. So it's difficult to remove. Yes?
Modern materials? Like silicone grease.
You could use silicone grease. However, I use silicone grease on these because they're very tight. That is pretty loose. And I don't think that the silica would give you enough to fill in all the cracks. You could try. Nothing wrong with it. Yes. Every connection needs to be luted. But silica grease would work. Just get the kind that doesn't harden.
I was thinking of the vacuum silicone.
That would work. Because it's inert. It is not going to interfere. Other questions? I will try to talk louder. So that the alembic is replaced by the steel head. This is what a modern still uses in place of the alembic, the steel head. The steel head literally fits down and in. It does not depend upon the well, the trough, to collect. The modern still has a screw top, and your thermometer goes in here. The thermometer sets at the level of the beaker on the still head. The temperature you're looking for is